think a lot of people thought that he was just joking around. It turns out he's not. So this is actually a real project that's being made under his G-Unit movie and TV studio.
Go back to that 50 Cent post, because I'm going to tell you why 50 is literally is a diabolical genius.
The upcoming Netflix docuseries by 50 Cent is shaping up to be one of the most controversial projects ever to hit the streaming platform. Titled Did He Do It?, this production delves deep into allegations against some of the most powerful figures in the music industry, including Sean Diddy Combs and Sean Jay-Z Carter. The stakes are higher than ever, with both Diddy and Jay-Z reportedly scrambling to stop its release. Courtroom battles, cease and desist letters, and frantic legal maneuvers have all come into play, painting an extraordinary picture of desperation. But why are these two music icons so determined to block this documentary? What exactly does it reveal that has them so terrified? Let's break it all down.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're going to do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
First, let's talk about the immediate fallout from the announcement of the docuseries. When 50 Cent revealed last year that he was working on a project exposing Diddy's alleged misdeeds, few people took him seriously. After all, 50 Cent has spent years trolling Diddy on social media, poking fun at his lifestyle and reputation. But things took a sharp turn when the legal trouble surrounding Diddy exploded into public view. Investigations, lawsuits, and shocking accusations revealed a hidden world that even hip-hop fans didn't see coming. And now, with Jay-Z's name dragged into the equation, the stakes have never been higher. The legal battle to suppress the documentary is nothing short of intense. Both Diddy and Jay-Z are said to have filed cease and desist orders attempting to block footage and interviews from being aired. Their legal teams are working overtime, dissecting every detail of the docuseries in hopes of finding a way to discredit it before it sees the light of day. According to insiders, Jay-Z's lawyers are particularly aggressive, arguing that the documentary infringes on his right to privacy and could cause irreparable harm to his public image. But this raises an important question. If they have nothing to hide, why the urgency to shut it down? The answer, it seems, lies in the content of the series itself.
Rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
The documentary reportedly goes beyond the headlines, delving into the shadows of the music industry to expose a web of questionable behavior and alleged exploitation. Sources close to the production reveal that it features interviews with former insiders, employees, and even alleged victims who paint a damning picture of what went on behind the scenes. From secret recordings to elaborate parties, the docuseries promises to unveil details that could irreparably tarnish the reputations of two of hip-hop's biggest names. While 50 Cent has openly expressed his disdain for both men, he insists that his primary goal is to give a voice to those who have been silenced for decades. For Diddy, the stakes couldn't be higher. The allegations against him span years, with claims that he wielded his power in ways that crossed ethical and legal boundaries. Despite his repeated denials, the growing pile of accusations has cast a long shadow over his career, a shadow that could grow even darker with the release of this documentary. According to early reports, the series includes interviews with individuals who attended his infamous gatherings and witnessed events they claim they'll never forget. These first-hand accounts are said to be chilling, adding a level of credibility that's difficult to dismiss.
I'm not surprised with the decision. I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee.
Jay-Z, meanwhile, finds himself in an equally precarious position. Known as a savvy businessman and cultural icon, the recent allegations have brought unwanted attention to aspects of his past he may prefer to keep hidden. The lawsuit filed against him late last year was a bombshell, alleging involvement in deeply troubling behavior alongside Diddy. Though Jay-Z has vehemently denied the claims, calling them baseless and opportunistic, the timing of the lawsuit couldn't be worse. With the documentary set to explore their long-standing connection, the pressure on him is mounting.
There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent and Jay-Z.
What makes the situation even more intriguing is the history between 50 Cent, Diddy, and Jay-Z. The tension among these three isn't new. It's been simmering beneath the surface for years. 50 Cent has always been vocal about his disdain for both men, often mocking them in interviews and on social media. But this goes far beyond petty rivalries or industry competition. According to 50 Cent, his decision to create the docuseries stems from a desire to expose what he sees as systemic abuse of power within the music world. The truth, however, is often messy, and in this case, it's downright explosive. The docuseries reportedly includes never-before-seen footage and documents that illuminate how Diddy and Jay-Z allegedly used their influence to avoid scrutiny. Early leaks suggest that the series doesn't hold back, addressing everything from secret deals to personal relationships that may have crossed moral lines. For fans who idolize these figures, it's bound to be a shocking wake-up call. And for Diddy and Jay-Z, it represents a direct threat to the empires they've built.
So it's a huge difference in who we are with each other internationally. Let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there, because America can be purchased.
The potential fallout from the release of the documentary is massive. Both Diddy and Jay-Z have built their brands on images of success, innovation, and resilience. They're not just musicians, they're moguls, philanthropists, and cultural icons. But if the allegations presented in the docuseries stick, it could all come crashing down. Endorsements, business deals, and partnerships could be at risk, not to mention their legacies in an industry where reputation is everything. The stakes couldn't be higher. Then there's the public reaction to consider. Fans of Diddy and Jay-Z are fiercely loyal, but even the most dedicated supporters may struggle to reconcile these allegations with the figures they've admired for years. Social media has already erupted with debates, as some defend their idols while others demand accountability. The court of public opinion is a powerful force, and it's clear that this story is far from over. Whether the documentary ultimately reinforces or challenges these allegations, its impact on public perception will be significant.
Bleak beans, everybody was in there, and I was like, man, I'm telling you, man, y'all got a chance right now. Just flood it, put out a lot of music, because 50 Cent is coming.
But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this saga is how it highlights the power dynamics within the music industry. For years, Diddy and Jay-Z have been at the top of the game, seemingly untouchable. They've weathered scandals, controversies, and rivalries, always emerging unscathed. But this time feels different. The docuseries represents a rare moment when the walls of celebrity privilege appear to be closing in. And for 50 Cent, it's a chance to finally level the playing field.
Tim, you're aware of international. You are like flex here. I've always said that. I always felt like that, right?
Yet, while 50 Cent is undoubtedly enjoying the chaos, he's also facing his own set of challenges. Critics have accused him of using the docuseries as a way to settle old scores, questioning whether his motives are truly altruistic. Others have pointed out that he, too, has been involved in his fair share of controversies, suggesting that his hands aren't entirely clean. But 50 Cent seems unfazed by the criticism, insisting that his focus is on telling the stories that need to be told. "Say what you want about me," he reportedly told a friend. "This isn't about me. This is about justice." As the release date for the docuseries approaches, the tension between all parties involved is palpable. Legal threats continue to fly back and forth, with both Diddy and Jay-Z reportedly considering additional lawsuits to block the project. Meanwhile, 50 Cent remains defiant, teasing fans with cryptic social media posts and promising that the documentary will be worth the wait. "You think you've seen it all," one of his recent posts read. "You haven't seen anything yet." The question now is whether the documentary will live up to the hype or be buried under the weight of legal battles and industry politics. One thing is certain, The story has already captivated the public's imagination, sparking heated debates and endless speculation. And as more details emerge, it's clear that this is just the beginning of what promises to be a long and dramatic saga.
Although interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
The stakes are high, the allegations are shocking, and the players involved are some of the biggest names in the game. But will the truth finally come out? Or will the powers that be succeed in keeping it hidden? One thing's for sure, this is a story that no one can afford to ignore.
As far as, is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they're going to cut his time, because right now he's looking at 15 to life. With all the charges he had to, he won't get out till 70 years old. He about 70, that's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house.
The tension between Diddy, Jay-Z, and 50 Cent is reaching a fever pitch, and it's about much more than just a Netflix docuseries. The entire music industry, and maybe even Hollywood itself, is holding its breath as these titans of entertainment are now locked in what feels like a battle for survival. But how did things get to this point? How did these former collaborators and so-called friends end up on opposite sides of one of the most scandalous sagas the industry has ever seen? The truth is, the history between Diddy, Jay-Z, and 50 Cent is as layered as it is messy, with twists and turns that have been brewing for decades. To understand why this feud has escalated to such dramatic heights, we need to rewind the clock and break down how these relationships fell apart. At first glance, Diddy and Jay-Z seemed like the ultimate power duo in hip-hop. Both were young, ambitious, and hungry for success in the 1990s. As they built their respected empires, Diddy with his flashy style and larger-than-life persona, leading Bad Boy Records, a label that dominated the charts with hits from artists like the Notorious B.I.G. and Maze. Jay-Z, who came up through the grittier streets of Brooklyn, was carving out his own lane as co-founder of Rockefeller Records. Together, they embodied the New York hustle, attending the same events, celebrating each other's wins, and occasionally collaborating. By the early 2000s, they were two of the most recognizable figures in the music industry, seemingly unstoppable forces who had the world at their feet.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You got it. The feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
But even at the height of their friendship, cracks were starting to show behind the scenes. There were whispers of jealousy and competition. Diddy's rise in New York had made him a household name first, but as Jay-Z's career began to explode, the dynamic between them shifted. Jay-Z wasn't just a rapper. He was becoming a mogul, leveraging his music career to launch ventures in fashion, sports management, and more. While Diddy had always been known for his business acumen, many in the industry began to notice that Jay-Z's moves were smarter, cleaner, and more forward-thinking. People started calling him the businessman's businessman, a title that reportedly didn't sit well with Diddy, who had long been seen as the blueprint for turning hip-hop into a billion-dollar business.
They are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand?
As time went on, the public began to notice subtle jabs between Diddy and Jay-Z. In interviews, Diddy would occasionally throw shade at artists who, in his words, forgot who paid the way for them. While he never named names, many assumed he was referring to Jay-Z. Meanwhile, Jay-Z, known for keeping his criticisms more veiled, began referencing his disdain for flashy businessmen in his lyrics, a line that many interpreted as a dig at Diddy's over-the-top persona. While the tension simmered beneath the surface, it never fully boiled over. At least not until 50 Cent entered the picture. 50 Cent's arrival on the scene in the early 2000s was like a wrecking ball crashing into the carefully curated world of hip-hop royalty. He didn't just want to succeed, he wanted to dominate, and he had no problem calling out anyone who stood in his way. His debut album was an instant classic, catapulting him to the top of the charts and making him a household name practically overnight. But unlike Diddy and Jay-Z, who at least tried to maintain the appearance of diplomacy, 50 Cent thrived on chaos. He was brash, unapologetic, and absolutely ruthless when it came to his rivals.
Like, not when a relationship like that. Like, they've been with each other. Look, I was an opening act for the Cash Money.
One of 50 Cent's earliest targets was Diddy, and he wasted no time making his feelings known. In interviews, he mocked Diddy's music, calling it soft and accusing him of being more concerned with his image than his artistry. But it wasn't just about the music. 50 Cent also took aim at Diddy's business practices, publicly accusing him of exploiting his artists and taking credit for their work. Puff's not a producer. He famously said in an interview, "He's a thief. He's been stealing people's ideas for years." Diddy, for his part, tried to brush off the criticism, but it was clear that 50 Cent had struck a nerve. And as the years went on, the animosity between them only grew. Jay-Z, meanwhile, had largely stayed out of 50 Cent's line of fire until recently. For years, the two seemed to exist in parallel worlds, occasionally crossing paths but never clashing in any meaningful way. But that all changed when Jay-Z's name was dragged into the allegations surrounding Diddy. Suddenly, 50 Cent had a new target, and he wasted no time turning his attention to the Roc Nation founder. On social media, he began posting cryptic messages that seemed to imply Jay-Z wasn't as squeaky clean as he wanted people to believe. In one now-deleted post, 50 Cent wrote, "Where's Jay? He's been real quiet while this is going down. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?" The implication was clear. If Diddy was going down, Jay-Z wasn't far behind.
Nobody in control of me. Like, I do what I want to do. So, I'm deciding to f your life up.
The timing of 50 Cent's attacks couldn't have been worse for Jay-Z, who was already facing growing scrutiny over his alleged involvement in the same incidents that had landed Diddy in hot water. And while Jay-Z has consistently denied the accusations, the mere association has been enough to damage his carefully crafted image. For years, he's been seen as the ultimate success story, a man who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful figures in the world. But now, that image is being called into question, and it's clear that 50 Cent is relishing every second of it. What's particularly fascinating about this feud is how it's forcing people to re-examine the relationships between these three men. On the surface, it might seem like just another celebrity beef, a clash of egos between larger-than-life personalities. But when you dig deeper, it becomes clear that this is about so much more than personal grudges. It's about power, influence, and the lengths people will go to protect their legacies. For Diddy and Jay-Z, the stakes are incredibly high. Both men have built empires that extend far beyond music, and their reputations are integral to their success. If the allegations against them stick, it could spell disaster, not just for their careers, but for the entire network of businesses and partnerships they've spent decades building.
Just different things that's not really beef though. That's just competitive.
Competitiveness. All right. So you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him
okay,
like that.
damn.
And then there's 50 Cent, who seems to be playing a completely different game. Unlike Diddy and Jay-Z, he doesn't have as much to lose. Sure, he's a successful businessman in his own right, but his brand has always been tied to controversy. He thrives on being the outsider, the provocateur, the guy who isn't afraid to say what everyone else is thinking. For him, this feud isn't a liability, it's an opportunity. By positioning himself as the whistleblower, the one who's willing to expose the dark underbelly of the industry, he's not just taking down his rivals, he's cementing his own legacy as a disruptor. But what makes this situation even more intriguing is the role that public perception is playing. In today's world, where social media dominates the conversation, the court of public opinion is often more powerful than any legal ruling. And right now, that court is deeply divided. On one side, you have fans of Diddy and Jay-Z who are standing by their idols, insisting that the allegations are baseless and part of a larger plot to take them down. On the other side, you have people who believe that where there's smoke, there's fire, and that these men, who spent years portraying themselves as untouchable, are finally being held accountable.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
The Netflix docuseries is only adding fuel to the fire. According to early reports, it doesn't just focus on the allegations. It also delves into the broader culture of secrecy and complicity that has allowed powerful figures in the industry to operate unchecked for so long. For viewers, it's not just about Diddy and Jay-Z. It's about what they represent. The series is expected to shine a light on the systemic issues that have plagued the industry for decades, from exploitation to corruption and beyond. And while 50 Cent has made it clear that he's not pulling any punches, he's also hinted that the series is about more than just tearing people down. "This is about justice," he reportedly said. "It's about giving a voice to people who've been silenced for too long." As the release date for the docuseries approaches, the tension between all parties involved is only escalating. Diddy and Jay-Z are reportedly doubling down on their efforts to block its release, while 50 Cent continues to tease fans with cryptic posts and behind-the-scenes updates. And while it's impossible to predict how this story will ultimately play out, one thing is certain: the stakes have never been higher.